My name is JoJackson Igietseme. I'm a therapist at Vanderbilt, doing mental health for kids. Coming from younger, my parents are immigrants from Nigeria, and so I think there was a divide in my mind about, being raised by Nigerian parents and then my Black classmates in class. And so I thought that we were kind of different in a sense. But as I began to come into contact with these elements or these systems in America, I realized they kind of see us all the same. So it kind of opened my eyes to kind of just what's all kind of going around, and really kind of cemented for me as I got through college and matriculated. I would say the most shocking moment for me was senior year of college. My fraternity brothers and I were practicing for a step show, and very clearly in the Vanderbilt building was actually the what's that building called? The dance studio. We were practicing for a step show, clearly wearing Vanderbilt paraphernalia, and VUPD walks in. That's the Vanderbilt Police Department, and there are at least 6 officers, and they're like, are y'all supposed to be here? They asked for IDs, student IDs, and some of us didn't have it just because we were kind of down the street from our dorms. And they held us up for a good 30 minutes, just kind of questioning us. And I think once they realized that we were students, they felt bad, but it was still just that initial, why were we questioned for so long? How else would we have gotten in? You can't even get into that building without either having prior access or swiping in or signing up through Vanderbilt's event registration department. So their jump to conclusions about why we were here and whether it was something nefarious or not was a little shocking. I think that kind of highlighted a lot of experiences that I had painted in a different light, perhaps growing up and realizing that in that moment, that could have gone very differently, But I'm always smiling, and it's for a reason. I'm 6'3", about 240, and so in a lot of people's minds, I look dangerous. And so my smile, I use it kind of as generally I am a pretty happy person, but at the same time, hopefully in some way that sends a signal that I'm not trying to be threatening, So when I come into contact with white women, white men, I'm always kind of smiling so they're not feeling threatened by my appearance. And there was a disturbance reported at the MPHC fraternity house, and I think this was in the winter. VUPD responded to the disturbance, and at the time, there were 4 different members of MPHC organizations that lived in there, and they were kind of dragged out of bed early in the morning in their boxers, different states of dress, held out in kind of the cold for a long time, as if they didn't live there, as if they weren't supposed to be there. It's just another example of how describes kind of the political climate of Vanderbilt. I can remember North versus South parties at frat houses. Vanderbilt was full of microaggressions, major and minor actually. Blatant uses of the N-word when they would have frat parties and the song would come on, you always felt uncomfortable. That's how I kind of describe being at Vanderbilt sometimes, just really uncomfortable. So you kind of have to make your own space. And we did that in a lot of different ways, between having fraternities, BSA, the CSA, the African Students Union, just general spaces for us that we felt comfortable in, because a lot of our peers were part of that white demographic who either didn't care or presented as allies, but when it came down to kind of the nitty-gritty of kind of making those moves and steps toward progress, they weren't really present. I think definitely looking back, I would say to my former self, this is all about you. I think it very much made my growth in college. How do I seem to other people? How can I be as least threatening to other people? And then in that process, I think I lost a part of growth upon myself of focusing on me and the things I needed in order to grow. And I was too busy trying to appease and shape my image for this crowd that didn't really care. And I think that puts me in a position today, we're moving towards the future. I am sort of kind of caring about myself. I'm not doing all the smiling as I walk down the street. Doesn't mean I'm not any less happy, but people are gonna be threatened by me regardless of what I do. So what does the smile really help? And so focusing on me back then and moving forward are 2 pieces of advice that I personally kind of need for where I am today. Statistically, my parents have 3 kids and I'm the youngest. And so one went to Emory, one went to Harvard, I went to Vanderbilt. Pretty successful, but statistically, there's going to be some major health concern between the 3 of us. I don't want to either leave this earth before I have children or leave this earth too early that my children aren't able to experience what it means to have a Black father and have a Black mother and be raised in a Black family, that they can see kind of a model of success. That model of success does not define them. The way they define success is something that I hope to be a part of, but I don't want them to strictly follow the path that I follow to get to where I am. We all have different paths, all have different journeys. We're going to learn different things. I just hope that I think to this day, I just hope that I can pass on the right things that can make future generations after me experience a little less of the discomfort that I did. Until society is ready to kind of face the atrocities that have been committed against Black people as a whole, not just Black men, Black women, we're just not going to go anywhere. And I think a part of that is also Black men kind of facing the traumas that they inflict upon Black women and Black children through their trauma from throughout history, you know. And a lot of people kind of run from trauma and run from pain, but like we have to confront it on some level to in order to move forward. We can't just continue to keep shoving things away, because then that's when you see the outbursts. That's when you see the misguided anger and the projection of anger onto other people who don't really deserve it.